Let's start our first news with Islam Makhachev responding to Max Holloway after comments about the UFC champion went viral. These comments eventually got back to Islam, and he decided to fire back at Max on social media. Islam wrote, "I don't know, bro. It's even too heavy to hold, but you don't understand. Sorry." The response quickly caught the attention of fans, especially because Max had appeared to question the situation surrounding Islam and his championship belts. But the story didn't stop there. Footage also surfaced showing Islam Makhachev alongside Carlos Prates and Justin Gaethje's team, creating even more discussion among MMA fans online. The footage immediately sparked speculation about what was happening behind the scenes and whether the fighters were simply enjoying the moment or sending a message to their future opponents. Islam has been at the center of attention ever since his move up to welterweight, and every comment, interaction, and appearance involving him is now being closely watched by fans. Meanwhile, Max Holloway's reaction added another layer to the situation. What started as a simple comment quickly turned into a social media exchange between two of the biggest names in the UFC. Islam's response was short, but the way he delivered it made it clear that he wasn't taking the criticism too seriously. With footage of Islam, Prates, and Gaethje's team now circulating, fans are continuing to break down every detail and speculate about what could come next. For now, Islam appears focused on his own path, while Max's comments have added some unexpected drama to the conversation surrounding the UFC champion. Move on to another news, as MMA analyst Luke Thomas is pushing back hard against the idea of Islam Makhachev making a run at a third UFC title. Although Islam has previously discussed the possibility of eventually moving up to middleweight and competing for gold at 185 pounds, Thomas believes the physical disadvantages could become a serious problem. The veteran analyst pointed out that Islam is already finding it more difficult to completely dominate natural welterweights, and because of that, Thomas admitted he would not pick Islam to defeat Sean Strickland right now. Thomas explained that there is no question Islam has the superior skill set, but the physical difference between the two fighters could be too significant. He highlighted the additional 15 pounds of natural size and strength that a middleweight like Strickland would bring into the octagon. Interestingly, Islam himself has acknowledged some of these concerns. Following his latest title defense, Islam openly discussed how difficult the move to 170 pounds has been. He admitted that natural welterweights have more size, strength, and durability, making it much harder to secure finishes against them. Thomas believes Islam has enough technical ability to succeed at welterweight, but he may already be approaching the physical limits of what he can accomplish at the division. He also argued that fans may not fully appreciate just how difficult Islam's current run has been. According to Thomas, Islam could potentially have pushed harder for a finish in his fight against JDM, but ultimately, he still won the fight fairly and accomplished what he needed to do. However, Thomas believes the situation becomes even more challenging if Islam eventually faces a much bigger middleweight, such as Strickland. For now, the idea of Islam becoming a three-division champion remains a huge challenge, especially as the physical gap continues to grow with every division he moves up. Move on to another news, as Islam Makhachev appears to have proved Daniel Cormier wrong after their hilarious exchange about Islam's new welterweight physique. After Islam's latest fight, Cormier joked that the UFC champion looked a little fat competing at welterweight. But Islam wasn't about to let that comment slide. Instead, Islam quickly responded by showing off his six-pack and proving that he is still in incredible physical condition despite moving up to the 170-pound division. The funny exchange was caught on camera, and it quickly started making the rounds among MMA fans. Islam was celebrating his latest achievement while proudly pointing out that he was now holding 2 belts across 2 different weight classes. He appeared to be enjoying the moment as he talked about defending championships in multiple divisions and potentially breaking UFC records. Then Cormier delivered the unexpected comment. He looked at Islam and jokingly said, "Today in there, you look fat. You look fat at welterweight, brother." But Islam immediately had the perfect response. He lifted his shirt and showed off his abs, making it very clear that he wasn't carrying the kind of extra weight Cormier was joking about. Cormier's reaction was priceless. After getting a closer look, he quickly changed his tone and admitted, "Oh, wait, maybe he's not fat. My God." The moment created a hilarious interaction between the two former teammates and showed just how comfortable they are joking around with each other. More importantly, it highlighted the physical transformation Islam has made since moving up to welterweight. Despite competing against naturally bigger fighters, Islam continues to look lean, strong, and highly conditioned. And judging by this exchange, Cormier may want to think twice before calling Islam fat again. Move on to another news, as Islam Makhachev's manager, Rizvan Magomedov, has shut down claims about what Islam's corner really believed going into the final rounds of his latest fight. In the same clip, Daniel Cormier asked Rizvan whether Islam's team genuinely believed the fight was tied at 2 rounds apiece heading into round 5. If you watch the fight, you may remember Islam's corner telling him after the 4th round that he needed to go all out because they believed the score was tied. However, Rizvan completely rejected that idea and explained that from his perspective, Islam had already won at least 3 rounds. Rizvan said, "No, I knew for sure, at least 3 rounds, minimum 3 rounds. He was winning on that one." But he also explained why a corner might tell a fighter something different during a fight. According to Rizvan, sometimes coaches need to ignite a fighter, even if they personally believe that fighter is ahead on the scorecards. The goal is to prevent the fighter from becoming comfortable and slowing down during the championship rounds. He explained that if a fighter believes he has already won 3 or 4 rounds, he might start thinking he is ahead and do nothing for the remainder of the fight. That is something a corner cannot afford to allow. Rizvan's explanation also connects to another major discussion surrounding Islam's performance at welterweight. MMA analyst Luke Thomas recently argued that Islam may already be approaching his physical limits at 170 pounds. Thomas believes Islam has enough technical ability to succeed against natural welterweights, but the additional size, strength, and durability are becoming increasingly difficult to overcome. He even admitted that he would not pick Islam to defeat Sean Strickland if the two eventually met at middleweight. Thomas pointed to the physical difference as the biggest concern, especially because Islam himself has admitted that he still needs to add more weight to fully adjust to the welterweight division. At the same time, Thomas acknowledged the enormous challenge Islam has already taken on by moving up and competing against naturally bigger opponents. He also suggested Islam could have pushed harder for a finish against JDM, while still acknowledging that Islam won the fight fairly. So, while the debate over Islam's future at 185 pounds continues, his manager's comments reveal just how much strategy goes into what a fighter hears from his corner when the pressure is at its highest. Move on to another news, as Team Khabib has sent a clear warning to Ilia regarding Islam Nurmagomedov and a potential UFC lightweight showdown. Usman has officially closed out his PFL contract as an undefeated and dominant lightweight champion, putting himself in an extremely valuable position as he enters free agency. With Khabib and head coach Javier Mendez publicly discussing the goal of finding the most lucrative and challenging opportunity, a high-profile UFC debut against a top-5 opponent could be next. One name that continues to stand out is Ilia, who is looking toward the top of the lightweight division after losing his title to Justin Gaethje. While Ilia has previously dismissed Usman's credentials and questioned the strength of his resume, Team Khabib sees the matchup very differently. Javier Mendez recently discussed the potential fight and admitted that Ilia could be the toughest stylistic challenge for Usman. Mendez praised Ilia's boxing and acknowledged that he is one of the best strikers in MMA. However, he made it clear that Team Khabib believes they can eventually solve the puzzle. Mendez explained that Ilia would be their toughest task, but insisted that they would be prepared to handle him. He also revealed why he has such confidence in Usman's abilities. According to Mendez, he gets to watch Usman and Islam Makhachev train together and compete in live rounds. That experience gives him a unique perspective because he can directly observe what Usman is capable of against an elite fighter like Islam. Mendez compared it to the confidence he previously developed while watching Islam train alongside Khabib. He said he doesn't consider himself some kind of genius. Instead, He simply has the opportunity to watch great fighters perform in front of him every day. And when it comes to Usman, Mendes believes those training sessions have shown him exactly why the undefeated lightweight champion deserves this kind of opportunity. For Team Khabib, Ilia may be the toughest puzzle on the table, but they are confident they can solve it. Move on to another news, as the MMA community has erupted over controversial comments made by Dean Thomas following Gillian Robertson's latest fight. The controversy had nothing to do with what happened inside the Octagon. After the fight, Dean appeared on a post-fight analysis show and announced that he was retiring from cornering fighters. His reasoning was that he felt he had taken Robertson as far as he could. That decision immediately drew criticism because Robertson had just suffered one of the biggest losses of her career. Instead of privately supporting his fighter, Dean publicly announced his retirement and made the situation about his own decision. Sean Strickland was one of the fighters who strongly criticized him. Strickland pointed out that he has experienced losses and setbacks throughout his career, yet continued fighting and eventually won 2 UFC titles. He argued that quitting is never the answer and suggested Dean's decision was better for the fighter. Other members of the MMA community were equally critical. Marcel Dorff accused Dean of acting like the main character and argued that a coach should stand behind their fighter during both victories and defeats. Ben Davis also called the decision a bad move, especially because Dean had reportedly worked with Robertson for more than a decade. He argued that immediately going on television after a title fight loss was the wrong place and time to announce something so personal. Others focused on Dean's responsibilities as a coach, particularly his comments about not being around while Robertson was cutting weight. The criticism became even stronger because many felt that the coach should have been backstage supporting his fighter instead of appearing on television. Will Harris from Anatomy of a Fighter also called the situation whack, saying the MMA world continues to disappoint him with moments like this. The overwhelming reaction was clear. Regardless of whether Dean believed he had taken Robertson as far as possible, many felt the announcement came at the worst possible moment. Move on to another news, as a surprising behind-the-scenes story involving Islam Makhachev and Conor has been revealed. According to Islam, Saudi power broker Turki Al-Sheikh recently put him and Conor on the phone to discuss the possibility of a massive crossover boxing match. Islam explained that he was actually spending time with Al-Sheikh at a boxing event when the idea suddenly came up. Instead of going through formal negotiations, Al-Sheikh decided to call Conor directly. The possibility of a blockbuster fight between the two longtime rivals was brought up during the conversation, and Conor reportedly indicated that he was open to the idea. However, what started as an interesting opportunity quickly went in a completely different direction. Islam revealed that the conversation did not turn into serious contract discussions. Instead, Conor began laughing, and the interaction eventually became more disrespectful, with gestures replacing any meaningful negotiation. So, while the fight is not officially booked, the conversation proves that the idea has at least been discussed directly between the two fighters. But that's not the only major opportunity on the table for Islam. Islam also revealed that Al-Sheikh has formally offered him the chance to make his professional boxing debut in the near future. The message was simple: whenever Islam feels ready to step inside the boxing ring, the opportunity could be waiting for him. Islam appears interested in testing himself under boxing rules, but he is also keeping his expectations realistic. The UFC champion openly admitted that he does not consider himself an elite boxer. However, he believes his striking has developed significantly throughout his MMA career, and that he could compete with other MMA fighters making the transition into boxing. For now, there is no official matchup with Conor, but the fact that the two were directly connected and discussed the possibility adds another fascinating chapter to their long-running rivalry. And with a boxing opportunity already on the table, Islam's next move outside the UFC could become very interesting.